The various vintage series on iRacing are a passionate bunch, and as such, whenever these vehicles get some love from iRacing, it's like Christmas morning for the community. And with a tire refresh, today's going to feel just like that as we get ready to watch round one of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. You'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. It's a brief lap around Road Atlanta, but for those who haven't gotten to know this place, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track. Well, as I said, it's going to be a very fast lap around this place, especially in these old F1 cars, Joey.
With the new tire model, I think everybody is excited to drive these new 79s around Road Atlanta. Here you see, located in Brazelton, Georgia, 2.54 miles, 12 turns in length. And we were talking to Michael DeTurk before the show here. He says, watch out on that standing start. There's going to be a lot of wheel spin, and that tire warm-up actually takes a couple laps for these cars really to kind of get into the groove and everything feeling good. So also highlight turn number 7 down there, that very, very slow corner before you get out onto the back straightaway. You're going to have to be careful with that throttle to prevent that wheel spin. You want that drive down the straightaway to make that top end speed. And then, as always, watch out for turn 10 down there. It is your biggest and best passing opportunity here at Road Atlanta using that top end speed.
Well, while the cars might feel festive out on the track with a lot of fun being had, you can feel festive in iRacing. If you join soon, they've got a 50% off new memberships holiday sale now through January 5th. So if you like what you see, and especially with this car getting the refresh and the community really growing. I mean, we had 3 splits of drivers in this race alone. Now is the perfect time to get involved and join in on the fun. And what's this fun going to look like today? Well, our race is going to see 30 laps out here. Like we said, short laps. So they've got a lot on the board to complete. Round 1 out of 12 this season. That last season was a bit of a one-off for a while as they do it kind of every so often to sync up the seasons and do it 13 instead of 12. Open setup, though, here. We understand that the new tire also allows drivers to really do some interesting things with these setups to make them fast, but it all depends on your driving style. No spare car if you wind up with damage, and with how quick it is around here, if you have an off, it's likely going to be lights out for you. Drive through at 17 incidents and a DQ at 25 if you've used those track limits, but this is not like a lot of modern racetracks with that paved runoff, so you're going to have to flirt with disaster to really rack up those incident points on this one. All right, Joey, we're into the qualifying session now. And with that tire warm-up problem, what is that going to mean for drivers who get on top of those tires in just 2 laps?
I was having too much fun with water cooler talk with Michael to kind of ask him that. And that was actually on my mind, right? If you have these problems with, call it, tire warm-up, and I shouldn't even say problems, right? This is how a natural tire should react. You got to get some temperature in it before you actually are able to perform on it. And here we go. We see the fast guys already starting that tire warm-up. That's the best way to do it. Move it back and forth, left to right on those high-speed sections. Start to generate that friction.
Interesting. So the prep going to be important. I wonder if this will maybe bring back the qualifying setup even more. Drivers who can change the pressures in a way that'll really get them where they need to be in that sweet spot. Pauli Partsinen putting the fastest lap down initially, but that's out of very few drivers. Looks Kevin Birrell is going to come up behind him now on our timing sheets. With all the influx of drivers, we're going to see a lot of names we don't typically see here in this series.
It's fun, right? I love to see the 79s back. I think that the tire model has been heavily hauled over, and this is exactly what we wanted to see, right? Bring the drivers back into these 79s. They should be fun to drive. They should be welcoming. And guess what, Joe? What did we have? 108 drivers here for round number 1 signed up. It is awesome.
It's been a long time since I've ever seen a number that high for any of the vintage series. So, yeah, love to see the sudden boost that they're getting. Pauli Partsinen coming around for that second lap. He's got a 109.8 on the board, which is about a quarter of a second quicker than Togo Hisada. But he goes even faster now to a 109.5. Dario Frantini gets it close, a 109.7, but that's still not good enough for the top spot.
It's pretty interesting to see Togo Hisada on that very first lap jump up to the top of the board, maybe using some of those Lotus 49 skills where they don't have the wings. He's used to the car moving around underneath him. And maybe that's why he was able to kind of jump up there. Right now, it's Micheleno that's holding that provisional pole time at a 109.4. As you see, Henkel really abused those exit curbs up and over turn number 5. I think that he is definitely going to be on a fast one. He's tracking about half a second to the good right now.
JD Rodriguez is now your quickest at a 109.4, and it is tight. 6 thousandths of a second between the front row at the moment. Henkel coming down towards the braking of turn 10. He's going to try and spot his marker. Let's see how close he can be. Togo Hisada now takes it away. A 109.2. He's about 0.2 quicker than JD Rodriguez. Hankel still tracking 0.8 to the good, and he's 0.3 off the pole time as it sits right now. This could be a phenomenal lap. He'll cross the line, and it's a 108.7. First driver to duck under the 109s.
That is the new bar to chase from the number 2 car. Let's see what this driver right here is able to do. Now, this is, I like this kind of strategy in qualifying from Valenteus here, is that he let everybody go out there and set their qualifying time so he can look at that standing box on that black box and say, okay, here's the bar that I need to go out there and chase it, and let's do our warm-up lap. Let's get into the rhythm, and he's still got 2.5 minutes out there. Plenty of time, or it should be plenty of time to get both laps in.
And by the way, how frequently can we say this? Pauli Partsinen in 6th after he had both laps, and as far as we can tell, not really any major mistakes. This is incredible, the competition that we're seeing out here today, because Partsinen's usually wicked fast in these cars, but Andreas Valenteus is quick in just about anything you stick him in, so I'm curious to see what this lap's going to look like. 109.7, but it did seem like drivers were picking up on the second lap, so let's see if he can go higher than 7th today.
Yeah, like you said, it slots him into 7th place right there as another regular. Gernot Frische goes along the back straightaway here. He's already put in one qualifying lap at a 109.3, so he's actually looking to improve on that. Right now, on my timing and scoring, it's about 3/4 of a second faster than his previous lap. So as long as he's able to put the power down cleanly through 10B there, which it looks like he does, he should improve on this one, Joe.
Coming to the line now, he'll cross a 109.9, becomes a 109.2, and that's good enough for front row for Gernot Frische. I kind of wondered if these tires would also suit him better, because he's kind of been out in the wilderness for a while, but he did take a win last time out at Brands Hatch for the last race of the previous season. Here comes Valenteus to try and improve on his 8th place. I'm showing him 5/10 up here.
Yeah, and he was really fast through 10A, 10B. Let's see what he puts down. It needs to be in the 8, so 109.1. So he'll share the front row, but in second.
Wow, this is unbelievable. Jorge Nieva's already completed his lap, so he's not going to be able to set a time. We got about 40 seconds left for Jensen Marlowe. I think that might be just enough for him to reach it.
He should be able to. These things are just so gosh dang fast down the straightaway. 160 miles an hour here at this point. We haven't even reached the arc in the straightaway. It all depends on that setup. 170, almost 175 miles an hour here before Jensen had to jump on the brakes. It actually looks pretty good. Got another 15 seconds. He'll reach the line, no problem.
And he'll need this because he hasn't set a single time yet. So this is the only one he's going to get on the board. A 110.8. That'll be good enough for 31st out of 36 drivers out here in top split with an SOF close to 5K for these drivers. It is going to be a stacked field. And already I'm seeing some of the drivers joking, I need to find excuses now for my pace coming into this one. So let's go through that starting order for our grid here as clock is wrapped up. Andreas Henkel on the pole with Andreas Valenteus in second. Gernot Frische, third for him. One of the best qualifyings we've seen from him in a while. Togo Hisada, fourth, and JD Rodriguez, P5. Mikko Leno is going to be in sixth position. Sergio Fernandez, seventh, and Pauli Parton in a shocking eighth. Dario Franchitti will be on the inside of that fifth row with Jacob Reed rounding out your top 10.
11th, we got Hamilton Ruiz. Next to him is going to be Nathan Finnegan in 12th. Kimmo Villaikainen all the way back here in 13th with Freckleton in 14th. Paul Williams 15th. Memo Moreno in 16th. Jordan Gronkowski starting in 17th with Kevin Burrell in 18th. Anthony Catt in 19th. And Danilo Sanfilippo in 20th.
Andrew Petty's 21st today, followed by Jakob Orboslak. Then you've got Christoph Olenek in the 23rd position. Francisco Araneta will be starting 24th. Quarter century mark goes to Lucas Lodato. Michael de Turk in 26th is then followed by Aaron Humphrey in 27th. Stefan Walder will be starting 28th today. 29th goes to Jean-Francois Boscas, followed by Jorge Nieva in 30th.
31st is Jensen Marlowe. Then Radoslav Zukowski back here in 32nd. Danielle Fordriani in 33rd, Christian Nieb in 34th, Jerne Zorek in 35th, and Jason Clapper, as always, starting from the back of the 36-car field.
Only 2 drivers did not qualify in this one. Of course, Jason naturally one of them. And I love this quip from Mikko Leno. He says, no fins in top 5. It's over, boys.
They've dominated for so long, right?
The playing field has been leveled, I dare say. So we wait for the counter to get to 0, and that is it. Everybody is lined up on the grid. The engines now start to rev as the lights are up, and the green flag is out off the line. It's going to be tricky, and it does look like it's a good start for our front row. Somebody was launching through there. I think that was Pauli Parton, and absolutely blasting past multiple cars here. Coming up to turn 1, we got a car a bit off track. Didn't quite see who that was, but they are dropping down the order. Now we hit turn 3, and everybody's going to have to tiptoe through.
I've heard that turn 3 on cold tires can be a danger area, but circle turn number 5 exit curb as well that they are approaching right now. I think that's Partanen trying to look for space as they go down the hill, and might have even been Kimmo Viekainen back there as well.
Looks like it was Jacob Reed who went off at turn 1, but thankfully only lost 4 positions and is already trying to make them back up. Out of turn 7, who can get that foot to the floor here? Because you're going to be flying down this long backstretch for quite a ways.
Henkel has done a terrific job to kind of squirt away from Valenteus there in second place, and then everything starts to close back up. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in line. Pauli Partanen already showing the nose after making up 2 positions already on this opening lap.
Had one problem off the line. Aaron Humphrey, for some reason, has parked the car. Didn't quite see what caught him out, but he didn't even make it to turn 1, I'm pretty sure. So something must have happened maybe with the engine or his hardware. As we complete lap 1, it is Henkel, Valenteus, and Friesche up at the top. Big moment there coming off of the final corner for Stefan.
And I think that's Paul Williams back here, the number 30, that kind of got edged off on the front straightaway. Thankfully, no more issues other than that. So now we jump back up front here. Togo Hisada is climbing all over the back of this red car. That's Gernot Friesche. And typically we see Togo in the 49s, a multi-time champion in those Lotus 49s. He does dabble in these 79s, but this is a great run in these first couple laps for Togo.
And let's not forget, he won yesterday back at Bathurst, so he's riding a high right now. Chasing on Gernot Friesche, another multi-time champion, but here in the 79. So really 2 titans that we're getting to see face off against one another. And Togo's got a good run. He thinks about it, but then thinks twice.
It's also great, like you said, to see Gernot Friesche up in the podium positions already. He's one of the most consistent drivers that we'll ever see in these 79s. And right now, he's going to kind of be that immovable rock. Togo's got a closing right here in turn number 1. He just can't do anything with it there. The brake zone isn't big enough.
He's got to watch out, though, because J.D. Rodriguez and his Ferraman is back there behind him. Also, Partanen and Leno. I mean, just a plethora of heavy hitters out here in this top group. And this is only fighting for 3rd for these drivers that are usually battling for wins.
It's impressive that Henkel and Valenteus have kind of scampered off up the road already, about 1.5 seconds each. But you're right, Friesche, I wouldn't say that he's holding up a train. It's just that look at how fast everybody is. I mean, these iRatings, Friesche, 7,000, Togo, 5,000, Pauli Partanen, 6,000, Mikko Leno, 6,000. It is crazy the skill level in here.
Ooh, this is another good bit of speed from Togo. He's going to force Friesche to go defensive this time, but he leaves the door just enough open. Togo decides he doesn't want to go that shallow, and he'll try again later, or maybe he'll go for the over-under. No, his speed is unfortunately balked on the exit.
It's great seeing the amount of grip that these 79s have in these corners, and now it's J.D. Rodriguez that's actually closing up on Togo Hisada. So I think to your point, Joe Peak, maybe Gernot Friesche needs to pick up some pace. Otherwise, he's going to have multiple hungry cars getting past him.
Well, one of the features that Gernot is kind of known for is he tends to set up the car to be strong at the end of the race. And if he's already in 3rd at the start, that's a bad sign for Henkel and Valenteus up ahead of him. As we duck down a little bit farther in the order to Jensen Marlowe here in 23rd. They'll go up the hill and over turn 5. Everybody surviving it this time. They're chasing Michael the Turk.
To kind of paint the big Bob Ross landscape, we got 3 packs out here. We've been watching that front pack of call it 5 to 7, and then we've got a second pack of 5 to 7, and then this third pack that we were just watching. It's pretty incredible. I count nearly 15 cars in that third pack. I just love seeing this amount of 79s out here. As Jacob Reed looks like he's making a pass down into 10A.
Makes the action thick and fast, so that kind of puts him into 14th position. And Lodato, we saw he went slow off of turn 7 from a big tail slide. And Michael Deturk capitalized on that, picked up 21st position in that one. Meanwhile, back up to Togo Hisada, still hasn't gotten by on Gernot Frisha in here. Togo is pressurizing him wherever he can. We're on lap 5. We were told this is about where the tires really come to their sweet spot. So maybe we'll see a bit of a shift here.
This is back to that, call it third pack that's led right now by Michael Deturk in that number 20 car. And then you got Lodato. Marlowe is in that Red Bull themed machine. Paul Williams directly behind him. And you can see that they're not far off the road from this battle of, I believe it's Petty, Reed, Hamilton, Ruiz. So they're all stacked in here pretty close together. It's one nice part about Road Atlanta is that once you get in that slipstream, it kind of pulls you up to that next group.
Yeah, these cars cut such a huge hole in the air. That definitely helps keep the racing close on this backstretch. Moreno is under threat, but Cat is not able to make the pass behind him. Olenek still in there. In fact, Olenek gets a great run, and as he looks down to the inside, he gets his nose in, forces him out wide. He's going to have the desired line coming into turn 1.
See if he forces the issue again. Still too wide, and it looks like it's going to be Olenek that's going to take over. He's going to have the driving line here in turn number 3, jump it up over the curbs, and sure enough, Anthony Cat is going to have to settle now for 19th place in that blue and white 12.
Exactly. Kevin Birrell in behind them, who at one point was up towards the top of the timing sheets, only in 20th right now. Look at them in the background as well. I think that was Marlowe and Lodato, and it looks like he's going to lose out on another position. Lucas is slipping backwards.
Certainly is right now, and Marlowe in that Red Bull themed Lotus 79 is going to be under attack because he's about a second behind Deturk in front of him, so he's not really getting the advantage of the slipstream off of a car in front of him, while Lodato is just all up in that draft. And here comes that battle once again. Anthony Cat on the outside, now flips back to the inside, but he's going to struggle to try to put that power down. Olenek also now gets the throttle down, single file through the final corner.
Who was that just off at turn 1? That was
Togo.
Hisada. Oh, no. Oh, Togo going a little bit too hard into the first corner. It's bitten many a driver over the years. It looks like he kept it out of the wall, but, man, the damage is done. It is extensive. He's down to 26. He's going to lose more as he has to take to the escape road up to Partanen, who's now promoted to 5th because of that.
Frustrating for sure from Togo Asada, and I think that he kind of finds himself in trouble in these 79s, doesn't he? With the wings and the downforce, maybe it kind of catches him by surprise more often than not, but he always shows tremendous speed. He just hasn't quite got the full grip on it yet.
Oh, he had his wheels already in the dirt for some reason. That's strange down the straightaway unless he felt squeezed.
So he was side by side with Gernot down the front straightaway. Gernot was defensive in the middle of the road, and Togo was just way too wide going into turn 1 in no man's land.
Yeah, such a shame. Well, the good news for Finns is that Pauli Partanen's now in the top 5, so they've at least got one out there. Holy cow, look at this. Coming out of the final turn, Ruiz on the inside with Freckleton defending in front of them. Too wide again for Jacob Reed, and his woes with turn 1 are not over. That's the second time this race he's gone out into that grass.
I was just about to mention Jacob Reed in that number 3 car because I feel that he's probably our fastest car that's furthest rearward, and he has made some tremendous passes to get back up to where he was, and then, like you saw, just kind of got shoved off there in turn number 1. But guess what? We still got another 20-plus laps of racing. I don't think his day is done.
And despite the growing pains on a new tire, we have only had a single retirement, Aaron Humphrey, who we mentioned earlier. By the way, that was due to his shifter breaking at the start. I mean, absolutely atrocious luck for him. Fourth place, maybe, though, for Hartinen on Rodriguez. Rodriguez doesn't defend it. And, they come together. Rodriguez popped into the air. Thankfully, it comes to a halt before he reaches any solid object, but he falls backwards down the order. Hartinen carries on.
Sure, JD Rodriguez will probably feel like he was maybe wronged a little bit in that one, but in my opinion, Joe, that was just a plain old racing incident. Sometimes it sucks for one party.
Yeah, you race as close as these drivers are willing to race, and that can happen, especially with the nature of the internet, though I think they did actually make that contact in the end. Meanwhile, down the hill, he's on a recovery drive already. That's Jacob Reed behind him. Those two can commiserate on their issues as Reed's got a good run coming off of 5.
And just like that, Nathan Finnegan is also attacking Frattini right there in front of him. He's got that familiar white and purple car of Kimmo Villaikainen directly behind it, and all three of these drivers up 4 positions from where they started. So maybe that tire warm-up phase, all the drivers are still kind of figuring out and qualifying. Here comes Finnegan. He's going to make the move. Frattini goes defensive, defends the position because of it.
Speaking of liveries, I do like Frattini's sort of very 70s-inspired livery he's got on that car, but it's not going to help him be faster because look at the exit out of the final turn for Nathan. He'll take the inside away into turn 1. And job's not done yet. Trying to hold on around the outside. Dario is sticking with it into the braking. Coming down to turn 3. He's a little too wide. Out in the marbles. And by goes Villaikainen.
Yeah, Villaikainen saw the open door and took away that position right there from Frattini. And watch out, because now you got a couple more cars in the case of Dylan Freckleton and Hamilton Ruiz. You might as well throw Petty, JD Rodriguez, Jacob Reed all in it. It seems like when one car goes side by side with another, all of a sudden like 4 more show up.
Didn't hit me until now. You said Petty, and my mind went elsewhere in terms of racing names. But
I don't see the hat on top of the car out there.
No, certainly not. It's not blue and red, unfortunately. But coming down into the braking, Nathan gets the exit he needs. He's out of range at this stage. Frattini is not, though. Dylan Freckleton right up behind him under braking. Big look from the likes of Hamilton Ruiz, and Andrew Petty also in behind him.
And remember those 2 cars at the very, very back of this train, the caboose, if you will, is JD Rodriguez and Jacob Reed, 2 of the fastest cars out there when we saw in terms of qualifying. So expect some passes to be made here if things are not shuffling forward as they see fit.
Got a replay for Danilo Sanfilippo. His brother not here. Woo, big catch. Fortunately, I think going to lose him a position. But, I mean, nice to live to fight another day, at least.
Good car control on display right there from the Sanfilippo brothers. And, yeah, like you said, live to fight another corner. You get to continue on racing, and that's a whole lot better than ending up in the wall. Maybe a credit down to that new tire model, actually being able to slide and drive these cars. It's been such a talking point, Joe. That's why we've got so many people out here racing the 79s. It is a new tire, and everybody loves driving it.
As you can tell, it looks like a big train of drivers enjoying themselves coming in behind here. More poking their nose out, but just unable to do it. You often call it the DRS train, except we don't have DRS in these cars. It seems like everybody's getting tow from somebody else coming down the backstretch.
And what happens with this open setup, right? Somebody has said, I want to crank the wing out of the car, so I've got that top speed, and most likely they're the ones that are leading this train. It looks like maybe Petty is a little bit wide right there. JD Rodriguez is taking a look, and now one of the cars going off. That was Hamilton Ruiz up at the top of turn 3.
And just like that, 4 cars sneak by. That's why you can't make mistakes in this group. It's not going to be one car going past. It's going to be multiple. Michael de Turk, oh no, has he had an issue coming off of, whoa, yes he has, full 360, just about. Comes to a halt before he hits the wall. Can't thank Michael enough, honestly. Not only did he give us information, obviously he's one of those that's done a lot of hard work helping develop this tire. He works directly with iRacing for much of the tire development.
Have to grill him on that spin after he said turn 7 is somewhere you got to watch out for pre-race. I got to Wonder why he wasn't watching out. Here comes Reed on Rodriguez. That was a late lunge. Rodriguez is going to be able to go around the outside, and now the over-under from Jacob Reed, like we see so often in 10A, 10B, gets him that position for 12.
Masterfully executed there by Jacob Reed. Set that one up perfect. And now he's ahead. Now he's got to run away and go attack the next car in line, and then the next, and then the next. He's still down by 2 positions from where he started, as Paul Williams down next to Lodato. Oh, in a very similar situation, a car touching tires and pops him up in the air, and car's not going to grip when the tires aren't connected.
No, and that happens often when you don't have fenders. You get that wheel-to-wheel contact, and that's what pops it up in the air like that. As we check in on Dylan Freckleton, has had a good race so far, up a handful of positions, sitting inside the top 10, and he's actually looking for one more. That's Frattini directly in front of him, who's exactly where he started.
Hopping on board, looking back, coming down the back straight here. Battle for 9th position. Frattini goes very defensive and late. Freckleton going to have to come back to the racing line. Question is, can he get this one done? He's going to have the inside. He's slow off the corner. That checks up Petty. Jacob Reed says, thank you very much. This is my chance to pick off another one. Going to have to do it the long way around, though.
That was pretty tight through turn number 12 there, and now Reed has got the racing line, but there is a fight back from Petty and a lunge, and now Reed's off again in turn number 1, the 3rd time in the race.
Well, not his favorite place to be. I wondered if he would finally make up for going off those couple times. I have to say, if you're a crew chief for Jacob Reed, tell him stop taking the outside line in a T1.
I'm sure that he probably doesn't need to be reminded of it, too, after this race. He's going to probably not practice Road Atlanta for a while.
Yeah, it's off to the next track after this one, which is going to be another new track, Thruxton, which is going to be very tiny for these cars, but should be a ton of fun as we come down the back straightaway once again with a whole line of cars eager and ready to go. Who's got the speed as we come to the braking zone? Petty goes defensive on Rodriguez and will hold him off for 12th.
I just find it so amusing. There's a couple cars that kind of thought about making the move, but then they didn't. And then all of a sudden, Jordan Gronkowski, Hamilton Ruiz, and Jacob Reed are once again right on the back of this pack, as it looks like Kimmo Viekainen making a pass for what is 7th place, getting around Nathan Finnegan.
Nicely done. So off he goes, try and chase down Fernandez. We haven't shown much of these front runners because they have separated pretty significantly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Hankel's pulled away from Valenteus by 5 seconds. Frisha is 2 seconds over Parton. Really, the only close ones are Parton and Leno and Fernandez.
And to your point, remember what you said earlier with Gernot Frisha and how he kind of tends to come alive at the end of the race, and that's usually what he's got his car set up for, and it's exactly what he's done so far. He had a ton of pressure in the mirror early on, but ever since then, he's pulled out 2 seconds on Pauli Partonen.
Run it away, but the question is, can he run down the front runners? That's really what he is looking for. Here's Andreas Henkel, who I do believe has the fastest lap of the race right now. Yes, indeed, in 109.5. Best on the board, 3 wide, coming down into the braking for the chicane. Oh, and off into the air. We get another car getting too ambitious. This time it's Petty.
And now J.D. Rodriguez going spinning into the support paddock pit lane. We're going to see him enter back the racetrack. Remember, that was another car that was making a comeback, and he's actually missing a rear wing. Ah, man, when it unravels, it just continues to do so.
Yeah, so that might be our latest retirement. We'll see if he gets back out on track, but we're already halfway through this race, and it sends him down to last of the runners if he does return. Jacob Reed, a lot of excitement here in this race for him. He's still in 12th somehow out of all of this, with Gronkowski in front and Ruiz behind.
Can definitely get a couple of those positions back that he's already made the pass on, 2 or 3 times now already? So he's got plenty of practice doing it. Just needs to run away once he actually completes the pass.
He's got a good run on Jordan. Let's see what he does here. So here's the contact. That was a lot of inside cut there for Raman, but I don't think that's to blame for that incident.
No, and he was fighting side by side with Freckleton, so he was trying to do an over-under, and then the third car in line, I believe it was Petty, forced the issue and essentially just ran up over the back of him.
Yeah, So sometimes that'll happen, especially with such close racing between a lot of cars out there. Well, as we continue to follow them, they're still being led by Dylan Freckleton. They're losing touch, though, with Dario Frattini, who was, for a long time, the leader of the pack in this group. And it seems like he's finally getting his legs underneath him.
Through turn number 5 here, Freckleton leads this group. And I will say, just kind of in seasons past, Dylan Freckleton might come with an alternate setup. It seems pretty familiar, or at least very similar to the other cars that he's got around him. But if I was going to say something, he might be lacking a little bit on this top-end speed. So watch out at the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, it does look like he's being caught quite quickly. Gronkowski, in fact, he might be able to breeze by here. Jacob Reed decides it's not worth trying to go 3 wide this time through. Gronkowski not deep enough on the brakes, and he will give the spot back up to Freckleton. He'll get a better exit off of there. Reed now thinks this is the right time. Down to the inside he goes, bangs wheels. Both of them get away with it. Gronkowski will lose 2 spots.
I saw that coming, right? I think that Reed said, all right, Gronkowski, go force the issue in turn 10A, and then he completely backed out of it and basically balked Reed's a chance at a pass there, as we've got another 3-pack right here on the front straightaway. This is Walder, Olenek, and Lodato going through turn number 1. So I'm not surprised to see Reed get the elbows out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he might hail from Club UK&I, but he's racing a bit more like this track, with some of that Georgia flair, the Southeast with stock car racing coming through for the number 3 car. Jumping back to 23rd, Olenek just ahead of Lodato, and Stefan Walder just in front of him.
And I think, here we go, right here, Jacob Reed is going to sail right on by Dylan Freckleton. He was probably hoping to make this pass 1 lap ago, but now he is firmly by that purple number 16, and he will set sail up the road to Frattini about 1.5 seconds.
After 18 laps of action, Jacob Reed is back where he started this race. So from there, what does he do? Because he's got 1.6 seconds up to Frattini. Could catch him and try to have a little bit of a battle, but he's got some work to do from this stage. Now, it looks like Freckleton still has his hands full. Car may have been fast initially, but late in the race, it's struggling.
Oh, and there's a lapped car right there at the apex at turn number 5. I'm not sure who that was. Way off of the pace there. Thankfully, they were able to kind of get out of the road enough. And this is almost a little bit of a blessing in disguise for Freckleton to have a car in front of him, because if he's lacking on that top-end speed, here's a slipstream to help pull you along the straightaway.
Yeah, it's kind of impressive with still having 33 cars, I think, about, that are still on track. We only have 2 of them a lap down. They have not caught the back of the field. Remember, these lap times, 1:09 for the quickest cars. Theoretically, we should have a lot of lapped cars here today, but everybody is so closely paced.
Look at it just in front of Jordan Gronkowski here. The battle is intense between Freckleton and Ruiz. Ruiz looks to the inside. Freckleton leaves him room, but he knows with that high downforce setup, he's got the grip off of the racing line, so he can kind of afford to leave that door open. A big old power slide from Freckleton. Let's see, does Ruiz take advantage going down into the S's? No, he's going to have to wait.
We've had Gronkowski in these vintage cars here before. I've seen him in the 49s. I'm not sure if we've seen him in the 79s, but in real life is a former Scottish Formula 4 champion, running in 13th right now, maybe biding his time, going to use that frantic racing from those Formula 4s as training for this.
Reed is now right on the back of Frattini. That certainly didn't take very long for him to catch up to what is 9th place. Is going to go driver's right, so Dario is going to try to defend this position, but I don't think he's going to be in a position to do so. You see him already lift off of the gas, and now the next one on the list is 4 seconds up the road for Jacob Reed. That's Nathan Finnegan.
I'm really impressed with what the 3 car has been able to do, even with the setbacks he's had. But the action is not over for Dylan Freckleton. Looks like Gronkowski going to try and challenge him for that 12th position if he can just get there, but backed out of it before turn 1. By the way, that lapped car was for Giorini. He has since headed back into pit lane.
We watch Freckleton here, still leading Gronkowski, and I think that Jordan's done a pretty terrific job out there. He's up 4 positions as we glance over at our front runners. This is Valenteus, who's currently sitting in 2nd position. It's hard to believe that he's 7 seconds up the road from Gernot Frische, but he's also 7 seconds back from our leader, Henkel.
Yeah, which really tells you how strong Henkel is. In fact, if I remember correctly, one of our racers that used to be at the pro level for the IR01 series, as Valenteus now sets the fastest lap of the race. So Henkel, one of many that come in with a former black stripe under their belts here in this series. We will often you'll hear us say that this place is kind of a breeding ground for pro level drivers, this car, for some reason.
Gronkowski finally gets that move done on Freckleton. Dylan's going to fight back in turn number 1, force the issue, but excellent racing from the real-world driver to leave room there at turn number 1. Now he's going to shut the door there at turn number 3, secure that 12th place position. And I just want to point something out, because we had 36 cars, right, start today's race. We've only had 4 cars retire out of that. We've seen a lot more contact than just these 4 cars. Look at Togo Hisada. He's actually caught up to the back of this fight that we're currently watching. He's in 15th place.
Still not going to be the result that he was looking for, but yeah, at least he can maybe snatch a few more with 8 laps to go. Definitely an opportunity there if he wants it. Here we go. Big move from Ruiz, trying to pass on Dario Frattini, and he clearly outbrakes him. Easy move for the 22.
Up into the top 10 goes Hamilton there, and he's going to have to go chase down Jacob Reed. Let's see what happened to Jensen Marlowe. That was a big wiggle in turn number 1. Does he keep it off of the tire wall? Look at this shot.
Wow.
Yes, stood on the gas. That is what I call a driver.
I mean, you talk about the drifting moments out there. That was some Ken Block type stuff, getting right up to the edge of the circuit. Meanwhile, watching the 12 car of Anthony Catt, seeing if he can hunt down Dylan Freckleton while also holding off Togo Hisada just at the front of the group. Jordan Gronkowski pulls himself a few more car lengths away. He's trying his best to get out of this fight. Hisada with a good run coming up to turn 6. Hard to make passes here, but he says, I'm going to do it around the outside.
At turn 6, there's a lot of natural camber banking built into the racetrack, and so surprisingly, there is a lot of grip right there. It just oftentimes can kind of shoot you with too much speed towards turn number 7, but evidently Togo Hisada has been able to manage that pace a little bit, and now he looks forward to Freckleton that we've seen have a busy rear-view mirror the last handful of laps.
Yeah, Freckleton's been dealing with a lot here. He's probably one of those that sees this new tire as a mixed blessing. I'm sure the car drives a whole lot better, but Dylan, on a good day, could threaten for wins and often was threatening for podiums. It looks like it's going to be a lot harder for him now.
I think also with the higher downforce setup that Freckleton brought here today, it might have been very, very good on those first handful of laps when everybody was slip-sliding around. But now that we're in the back half of the race, I think we're seeing those true race setups where you need the top speed kind of prevail.
Yeah, got to be comfortable with that high straight line speed, as he's got Togo Hisada just coming up behind him. Has Togo got it trimmed out? Let's find out. Coming down the back straight, everybody on the throttle, nice and smooth, no slipping up for anybody this time. Now they start to tick on up to over 150, 160 miles an hour.
It was 4 cars. Now we've only got 3 cars out of the race as Togo Hisada uses that slipstream. He's there. He makes the move down the hill, outbreaks Dylan Freckleton and move him up into 13th place. Looks like he's got one more on the table directly in front of him with Jordan Gronkowski. And actually, call it with 6 laps to go, he might be able to pick up a pair more.
Yeah, Frattini's definitely within range if he's got the speed. And remember, Togo qualified in 4th place, so the speed is there. He was fighting with the top 4. It was his own mistake that sent him out wide. Definitely aggressive on that curb as we switch back to Deturk once again. We have been told he is Michael Deturk by high authority here. And the 20 car kind of in no man's land right now. Not close enough for Olenek, but too far away to worry about Williams.
I know that he likes being called Michael, but I think he's trying to disguise himself as Togo today.
Exactly. And Kevin Birrell back here in the 16th position is chasing on Andy Katz, as looks like Dylan Freckleton in the number 16 is once again going to lose out on that straight line speed. Togo Hisada once again kind of showing himself just in front of him, but not quick enough to get by Gronkowski.
Call him the Magic Man, right? Because Togo just all of a sudden appears in your rearview mirror, and all of a sudden he gets that pass done, almost reminiscent of Talladega Nights, like Cal Naughton Jr.
See, comes up and over the crest into turn 3 here. He gets close to the back of Gronkowski, trying to set him up, almost getting into the gearbox of him, coming down into the S's now. And they've got Forgiorini getting close up in front of them. We might have a 4-car battle. He's going to get lapped once again. He'll pull out of the way. Nicely done by Danielle. And nothing doing into turn 6 this time for Hisada. Maybe waiting for the exit out of 7.
And remember, we've seen Jordan Gronkowski run a very smart race, right? He hasn't forced the issue in turn 10A a couple times, but is the opportunity going to be now? He is right in that slipstream of Fertini. In fact, he's closing that gap. He looks driver's left. There's nowhere to go there, and now the road is blocked. Togo Hisada doesn't have anywhere to go either. This is pure masterclass of defense from Fertini out front.
Man, Gronkowski had a huge slide, though, and that is really what hurt Togo. If he maybe could have pulled the over-under, he might have had a good chance to at least get Jordan. Down to the inside, big dive for Jordan. Fertini shuts the door. That actually slows up the exit for Gronkowski. Hisada spies this as his opportunity and makes a pass into turn 3. That is rare that you get passes into there.
That was just excellent racecraft from a multi-time champion in those 49s, was able to read the racing and take advantage and got that position. Now he sets sail with, call it 3.5 laps to go to try to get himself that 11th place position. Won't get a top 10 out of today, but I'm sure that he'll at least be happy passing a bunch of cars.
No doubt. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be using as much of the slipstream as he can to catch up to Fertini ahead of him with only 0.6 of a second separating them. Danilo Sanfilippo gets passed around the outside. I think that was Kat. No, excuse me. That was Stefan Walder making that pass.
Yeah, Walder getting around Sanfilippo, and then our buddy DeTurk right in front of this driver, Olenyk. So we're riding on board with the black and green number 25. You see Michael go driver's left. He's going to try to go really deep on the brakes versus Sanfilippo. Can he get the car stopped? He does, and the position.
Been some late defenses down the straightaways at times here, but thankfully nobody's really had any run-ins quite yet. Wonder if we'll hear of some discussions after that. You know, we said, will Togo try to catch up to Fertini? That's a big affirmative.
He's right there. He's trying to make that move here into 6. Remember, we saw him make that outside move a little bit earlier, but can't do it this time. Focus on the turn 7 corner exit. And Joe, I think this is going to be pretty textbook. We saw Fertini go really defensive here this last lap, but Togo's just too close.
Yeah, he's got a huge pull coming down the back straightaway. He'll pop off to the right-hand side, which is going to be outside of the first apex, but as long as he's good on the brakes, I think he's going to have this one, and indeed he is. Fertini gives up the ghost.
Togo was very smart about it, too. You saw him pretty much put the inside tires in the grass there on the back straightaway, take the shortest distance around it. That helped clear him as well.
Oh, that was a little bit sketchy there with cars sliding out of the final corner. Freckleton is still fighting hard, but too hard. He goes off the course. Our latest victim through turn 1. Oh, catch it, catch it, catch it. He's going to wind up spun around, unfortunately, at turn 3. Oh, no! And gets clattered into by Andrew Petty, who just was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, unfortunate for Andrew, and I know that Dylan was trying to grab that gear and go forward as well. Just a little sloppy at the end of it. I'm sure that he'll probably say sorry about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. I know they say to lock down the brakes, but yeah, he thought maybe he could get it pointed the right way. It just didn't work out in the end. By the way, white flag is out for Andreas Henkel. 12 seconds over Adrius Valenteus. There are few drivers on the iRacing service who can pull that sort of gap over Valenteus.
And I'm watching our leader here is Burrell is making a move on Anthony Catt. Nice job from that number 4. But I'm looking at the laps from this race. I'm curious, does he even have a lap in the 1:10-second bracket? Only 2 laps that are slower than 109s, and that was in the tire warm-up phase, the first 2 laps of the race.
Unbelievably quick, this number 2. Will this be our driver to watch out for this season? Is Henkel making a claim for a potential championship? Oh, there's cars wrecked all around. He has to almost go off track to avoid him. Thankfully, he's able to do so and take the win here today at round 1 for the Sunday Grand Prix series.
And just to show how fast Henkel was, here comes Valenteus in second. But Henkel's fastest lap of the race, Joe, was good enough for pole position.
Wow. That's just incredible stuff. Valenteus second. Frisha gets himself a well-earned third. Reed, very close to getting 8th, is actually going to come home in 9th today, about a 10th shy of P8. So still had a gain, but I imagine there was much more on the table for him. Togo Hisada, only 11th for him.
There goes that stream of cars crossing the start-finish line. I think we've got a handful more. I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that showed up. I mean, we had nearly 4 splits of action. We had 108 drivers show up. I think that this new tire proves how great these cars can finally race again. Not only that, but they bounced off each other today and continued on, so they are durable as well.
Can I give a tip of the hat to Dylan Freckleton? Despite that wreck, he's got the car going, and he's finishing this race. He's going to be the last one on the lead lap, but I always love to see drivers that want to gut it out and actually cross the finish line to wrap it up. Well, that is almost going to wrap it up for us. First, though, let's go through our finishing order for this race. Andreas Henkel, your winner over Adrius Valenteus and Gernot Frisha, finishing in P3. Pauli Partanen was 4th today. Mikko Leno will be P5, and Sergio Fernandez in 6. Kimmo Viekainen finished 7th, followed by Nathan Finnegan in P8, and Jacob Reed 9th. Hamilton Ruiz gets a top 10.
Togo Hisada climbs back to finish here in 11th place, with Dario Fertini finishing in 12th. Jordan Gronkowski in 13th, with Kevin Burrell here in 14th. Anthony Catt had himself a fun-filled race to finish in 15th. Here's a name we didn't mention at all today, and one of our biggest movers, Jorge Nieva, started in 30th, up 14 positions to finish in 16th. Good to see him out there as well. Memo Moreno here in 17th. Jason Clapper, 18th, our official biggest mover, plus 18 for Clapper there. Jensen Marlowe, 19th, and Michael DeTurk, big shout out to him for helping so much with this new build, finishes 20th.
Stefan Walder was 21st, followed by Dylan Freckleton in 22nd, last car on the lead lap. Olenek was 23rd, and Araneta will be 24th. Arbeslach was 25th today. Jean-Francois Boscus was 26th. Zakowski 27th, and Neeb in 28th. Zorak 29th and 30th goes to Andrew Petty. Unfortunately, from there on down, you get to drivers who are multiple laps down. Sanfilippo, Williams, Forgiorini was the DNF, Lodato, Rodriguez, and Humphrey. Does look like we've got Gernot Frisha to talk to us here, and a perfect person to really hear his thoughts on the tire, because he's been around a long time. We know he's fast. Gernot, congratulations on the podium. I dare say you seem to like this new tire.
Yeah, actually, I seem to like it. I was expecting something different, to be honest. Usually I take quite some time to adapt to new builds. But this time, yeah, it's a lot easier. But I think it's easier for everyone because the tire, yeah, feels a lot better than last season. It's so much nicer to drive on the first 1 and 2 laps because the old tire was a little bit harsh on cold tires, and now it's a lot better. Maybe there's a little bit, bit too much grip, but I'll happily take that compared to last season.
Early on in the race, you had a lot of people behind you. Did you feel like you were going to be okay suffering that pressure? At one point, Togo almost tried to go around the outside of turn one.
Yeah, I was under a lot of pressure. Actually, I was really surprised to qualify that good. So I expected to be under pressure in the race a lot. Was also surprised that Pauli didn't really close the gap, because I think he had better pace, at least in the race before the broadcast race. He was quite a bit faster, so I don't know why it went better for me in this one.
Well, glad to get to talk to you again here with a podium finish, and congratulations once again.
Thanks, guys. Huge congrats to Andreas. It's incredible what he's doing this season. And also to Audios. Yeah, wish you guys a nice Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas as well to Gernot Frischa, who finished third. Just behind him, we heard him mention him, Joey. It's Pauli Partanen, P4.
Yeah, we got Pauli in the booth with us, not on the podium, but man, we had 36 cars show up. It seems like this is now fun to drive again. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, it is fun. It's the best. It's the best car now in iRacing. So really happy to see a lot of guys here at the broadcast race, and I'm super happy that we got the update finally. We asked this for about a year, so this feels amazing.
Well, it's finally here, right? It seems like everybody's happy. What does this mean for you in terms of the season? Are you going to be putting in a full season effort again?
Most likely I will not make a full season, but definitely I will do more races than I have done past years, so that's for sure. But yeah, I if I have time, I will do the races. Like I'm super happy that this new update made this racing much closer now, because last season it was so difficult to drive that all the newcomers were avoiding this car, and now it's way easier to drive. So we have more competitive races in the future with Lotus 79. So that's a good one.
I gotta ask you, is there gonna be a Finnish recruitment? Because you guys were nowhere to be found inside the top 5 inside of qualifying, but thankfully you showed up in the race.
Yeah, well, I think this new tire it's way different than the previous one, and I think I mastered the old tire. Like for real, I think I was super cool with it, and I think that the things are getting different now, because for real, Gernot is faster than me. He was super fast, super good. Like I had no pace against him, so I think some new guys or old guys will be faster than they were before, and some guys will be slower than before. So we will see how it goes during the season.
I loved seeing today's race. Definitely go back and watch it, Pauli. It was action-packed from the beginning to the end. Thank you so much for coming out and racing with us, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the season.
Yeah, thank you guys, and I will happily see the broadcast. You have very nice graphics now, so happy to see it. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas, Pauli Partanen. That was the driver finishing in 4th place today.
And a little bit farther down, only 11th today for Togo Asada, but great qualifying initially. Togo, what happened there going into turn 1? That seemed to define a lot of your race.
Yeah, just I'm very in the first 3 laps I'm very good at the first 3 laps on the race pace, and I believe I just follow the outer space, so I think I want to make the move to P3 as fast as I can, and make a move just a bit risky, and I just landing in the dirty lines, no grip, and stay and spun.
What is it like going from the Lotus 49 to this car? Is it a hard transition for you?
Yeah, kind of that. Yeah, little bit. The tons of downforce is here in this car, but the stride and counter steer, some like that is very my experience of the Lotus 49 has helped me a lot. So and the tire temperature control, yeah. So some sliding or some heat management of the some side of this thing is very helpful of the Lotus 49 experience.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. And yeah, I'd say you did a good job of it trying to climb through the field. Again, commiserations on the race. Hopefully we'll see you more in the 79s this season.
I tried to bit late time for my country, but yeah, really fun to race this car. So might be come up with more race this season.
Yeah, understandable there. Obviously, time zones in Japan pretty late. That was Togo Hisada finishing 11th today. By the way, love this stat we're getting from Michael de Turk. Third highest SOF for Lotus 79 broadcast ever for today. That tells you how many people have come out for this one. But we're going to wrap it up with a big thank you to the community for showing up in huge numbers, and also to the team today, Joey, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Like we said, next race is at the new track at Thruxton, Sunday, December 29th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts we have listed, or the other broadcast that we're going to have on the channel, because the MX5 World Sim Series is going to be up next for their world finale. But until next time, both have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.